Well, I think the meetings are an important part of the process. Can't help but feel badly about some of the service changes as you listen to the comments that are coming in from people. The reality is that we are going to have to try to find savings for the MTA. The financial situation is dire, but I'm hopeful that we can take back suggestions we've heard and do perhaps improve a little bit what we have on the table.
The MTA is facing a $400 million budget deficit despite being bailed out last spring. The taxpayers of this district have been paying exorbitant salaries to MTA leadership. And for what? A mismanaged system that squanders their hard-earned tax dollars and delivers only service cuts.
You did everything you could to suppress ridership on the East End. And now you come to us and you say, despite the fact that Suffolk County pays $525 million in fees and taxes each and every year, you are about to take a saw and cut off the middle branch, the main line from Ronkonkoma East. Stop taxing us for transportation you will not provide.
If you really wanted to make an impact to the people in this room, you'd have taken the train here. You'd have gotten off at that squalor infested Riverhead train station that you don't manage. It is absolutely horrific. So next time you do this, it may be symbolic, but I ask you, much the way General Motors, they drove over to Washington in their cars, take your own darn train.
In my family growing up, we had an expression called chutzpah. You have just raised $100 million in new taxes on our small businesses. And at the same time, you are proposing service cuts. That gives chutzpah a whole new meaning. MTA, through various fees and taxes, is collecting from Suffolk County $500 million.
First, I want to thank you for coming out and hearing our concerns. And then I want to say, how dare you for thinking originally you didn't have to. After us making it. Your service is poor at best. Your train schedules do not keep with the needs of this community. Historically, with obscene contracts, obscene benefits and salaries, no review, no oversight, no audit of contract vendees, to suggest that management skills was incompetent would almost be complimentary. It would imply that there was a certain innocence to that. It's borderline criminal. You need to start with yourselves, look from within to find out where your waste is, to find out what your inefficiencies are, before you look to the very people you exist to provide services for. We ask for better service, we ask for you to listen to us, we'll help you build that railroad, we'll help you increase the ridership, we'll help you every step of the way. But we're not going to just continue to be your cash cow.
The proposal to eliminate regular service between Ronkonkoma and Greenport, if implemented, will be recorded in history as a public policy blunder of the first order. I took the liberty of downloading your map from the website and making a slight change to it by whiting out, essentially, the Greenport to Ronkonkoma line. I can't see how any responsible planner would take a look at this map and say, this is what we ought to do. It just doesn't make sense.
Fortunately, to get into the city from the North Fork, I use the Hampton Jitney every single time. They run a service that is superior to yours in every way possible. If we had 8 round trips east of Ronkonkoma, between Ronkonkoma and Greenport, and 4 on weekends, your ridership would be in the thousands. Because right now on weekends, we can't use your trains. They're not set up for residents. And to say you want to run a summer-only service, that is an insult to everybody out here. It's not 25 years ago. We live here. And finally, in closing, Helena Williams, when you became president, there was a lot of hope that you might get this archaic organization running. All I can say to you is I want you to resign.
The reason why there is no patronage is, again, the schedules. That first train out of Greenport, I have to repeat, as other people have said, leaves before the ferry arrives in Greenport, and that train deadheaded out from Ronkonkoma. It rides with nobody, no revenue passengers. The morning train out to Riverhead arrives an hour roughly after the courts have opened. The afternoon train sits idling for an hour until 3:15 and then heads west from Riverhead an hour before the courts close. This is totally irrational.
My name is Frank Kuczynski, and this evening I represent
315,000 people on Long Island with disabilities. I am director of the Suffolk County Office of Handicapped Services, and in addition to that, I am a member of the Suffolk County Disabilities Advisory Board. The proposed cuts would have a negative impact which would disproportionately affect the lives of persons with disabilities, many of whose transportation options are quite limited. The proposed elimination of service to an entire branch east of Ronkonkoma reverses the stated policy of the MTA to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act by denying service to Riverhead, a large growing source of employment to Long Island.
Jeanmarie Costello, and I'm here in two capacities. The most important capacity I'm here at is as a parent of two children who take the Long Island Railroad every day. They take the 608 out of Riverhead every morning. My son is a senior at Jeanmarie High School in Mineola, and my daughter is a freshman at Kellenberg High School in Uniondale. One of the choices that we made as parents is to send our children to these schools based on the fact that we had the Long Island Railroad to back us up and to be able to send our children to school on the train every day as a safe and efficient method of transportation for our children to go to these schools. There are many students who ride these rails every day. It would be extremely inconvenient for us if we had to transport our children every morning to Ronkonkoma to get the train, and in the evening transport these children back. I would have to cut my workday short, go to Ronkonkoma and pick up my children and bring them back, as so would many other parents. In addition, this would not only increase the environmental problems, there'd be more traffic on the expressway, and I would spend more money in gas, I would spend more money in no student discounts for my children, as well as losing money at work since I couldn't be there. In addition to being a parent of a student who takes the train, I'm also a local homeowner and a business employer. I also pay the MTA tax, so I'm getting a double whammy. I'll pay a higher train fare for my children, I'll have to cut my workday short and commute to Ronkonkoma to get these children, and I'll have to pay more in gas. So all around, it's not a happy situation for the people of the East End of Long Island.